Excellent.
All right, I'm
Carol.
ready when you are.
No?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Meryl Mead Fox. I'm the co-chair of the Wellfleet Historical Commission with Lydia Vivante. Do you want to introduce yourself, Lydia, just so people know who you are?
Hi, Lydia Vivante here, co-chair.
Shall we go around and just introduce the Historical Commission members so everybody knows?
That sounds good.
I'm Carol Ubriaco.
I'm Sajir.
I'm Gordon Kahn.
Oh dear,
Luke
Jim, I
Manning.
can't hear you.
That's your earbuds, Dad.
Luke Manning. He was
Luke
there.
Manning?
I just heard him.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
That's
Okay.
better.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Jim, upper right, there should be a mute button.
Oh, I told him lower left. I guess it depends on whose computer you're
I think
looking
I thought he said he had an iPad.
at.
I can call him if you want to.
Okay, did you want to mute yourself while you do that?
Well, it depends if I'm going to have to get the stuff on the screen. So maybe somebody else could call him. Does someone
Tom,
else?
would you be willing to call Jim to help him out?
If I can
Yeah.
find the phone,
And mute yourself? I'll mute you if I can.
Want me to call? I don't have his phone number.
It's okay, Tom's doing it.
Oh, okay.
Just to make this meeting run more smoothly, it works best if everybody but the commission members can mute themselves, and then we'll ask you to unmute or help you unmute if we're able to. The first item that we're considering is 206 Holbrook Avenue, and there are two different parts to that. One is the revised window restoration and the other is the new deck project. So how about if we start with the window restoration? Oh dear, Jean, we need you to unmute.
Wrong thing. Hi there.
Great, hi.
I'm back with some other following, I think, pretty much what your notes that you sent us. So what we're going to do is we're going to definitely restore those first group of windows in the front and reglaze them, or the builder called someone in and they met him up there, and they're gonna make them, so we don't have to replace any of it. We'll just restore them and reglaze them and make sure everything is intact so they won't change at all, the look of them.
Wonderful.
Great.
So, and then the other windows, they really can't do that, unfortunately. So they did go to the A series Anderson, which is more of a architectural restoration type window.
Mhm.
And they're going to be doing, I put the model number ADH, depending on which one. And they're going to be with the grill pattern that matches what's there. And they're going to be the simulated divided lights with the spacers, and they will match exactly. They're going to have to be, I think, new construction. Otherwise, we're going to end up with windows that are too small. So they're not the inserts. They're going to be they're going to be the same size, but they're going to have to, put new construction windows in there.
And I'm just looking at the A windows now here on my phone.
I think I put the little brochure on them right here.
Lydia, is there any possibility that you could show us what those windows look like?
I think I can. Let me see if I can get that.
Yeah, I sent the brochure, but unfortunately it shows it with, not exactly the configuration we're doing. But they're, they have all the options to match those windows. They're going to be the white, and everything will be restored as far as any trim that we might touch will be exactly the way it is.
Good.
Moment.
So in a case like that, would you order the windows without trim, and then you would reinstall the?
Well, they don't come with trim, so we would reinstall the trim when we would reproduce it the best we can. I think the builder's trying to call here. That is, hold on one second.
Jean, could you put that on mute, please?
Yeah, I'm trying to because it's the, I'm
Oh,
gonna turn it
Turn the
off.
phone off.
I'm turning it right off. It was actually Jack Strumsky, who's the builder, calling in. So I don't know if he had something he wanted to say, but he's the one who told me, okay, we'll just leave him, ignore him right now. Yeah, so we're gonna replace trim if we need to replace trim. Of course, inside we will, and the outside will be reproduced exactly the way it is, but they do want to use AZAC because it's easier to keep it from, so they don't have to paint it, but, so the windows come without the trim.
Right, okay, good.
They're white,
Mhm.
and that's just, the trim is something we're gonna do.
This is a big improvement over the vinyl windows that were originally proposed. Thank you.
Oh, I agree with you on that one.
Thanks, and as long as they're not coming with that standard brick mold, and instead you're going to use the trim that reproduces what's there or is what's there, that
Yes.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
One of the areas does have some rot, so we're gonna have to replace some of the clapboard and repair underneath. There's some rot and leaking in it. I forget, that's that window, I guess, facing the house around the corner to the right.
Right,
But, and then the two on the top, they're gonna put the shutters back, the two upstairs.
Yeah.
And there again, are gonna be duplicated, looking exactly the same. So I guess it will look exactly the same, and I think not disturbing those four windows, which I think gives that house its personality.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
In the original application, the trim was going to be retained, the original trim.
Right.
So that's a change.
Yes, if in case, unless they find, when they do the replacement windows, sometimes when they take out a window and put another one, sometimes they have to disturb it, so they have to put it back in and duplicate it. Insert windows, you don't touch the trim at all, really, unless you just repair it. So this particular product is, I think, made for this type of window, age of the house.
By using the new construction window, you'll keep the same amount of glass. It won't encroach and become a smaller window pane.
Right.
And if you used a replacement window, it would. So that's,
That ruins it because, that gives less, those windows are much nicer, that they're not the size of them. And especially if you're having the grills.
yeah. No, it's better. That's good.
Yeah, it is better. So do we have any other questions?
Okay.
And do we have a motion?
I would make a
Does,
motion to
maybe,
approve if I knew how to
you
make a
want to
motion.
make a motion?
I move to accept the revised application for the window restoration, the window replacement using the windows specified, and reusing the existing trim or replacing it with that which matches existing.
Yes.
Sounds great. I second the motion. I vote aye.
Lydia, I.
Jim.
Carol, I.
Tom, I.
Gordon, I.
Luke, aye.
It's unanimous. Congratulations.
So that's great. And I guess they're doing a deck out the back. I didn't know that. We'll have to.
Is A. Carroll here to present the deck?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure. If, let's see.
They're not our company, so I don't know who it is that's doing it.
It's Cape Associates and Mark Harmon is here.
Oh,
Great.
hi. Thank you.
Hi.
So would you like to tell us about the deck project?
Sure. There is an existing screen porch that Lisa has asked us to remove, and she wanted to put a deck in its place, which we have sent over a concept drawing to you guys.
Mhm.
And I'll be happy to answer any questions. She's looking to put mahogany railings and balusters as well as mahogany decking.
Please share the application on the screen.
I will, yep, in just a moment. I'm trying to, I have a zip file here, just a sec. Two oh six. Here we go. So here's the folder, and I'm gonna go, which image would you like to see first? The
The 3D image, maybe?
3D image. Okay, that's this one.
Or 2D, I guess it is, right?
Just a moment. All right, I think this should. Do you see it now?
Yep. So I have a question. I heard you say that it was going to be mahogany. It looks like the posts themselves are made of something else, though.
That's correct. The post will be pressure treated and wrapped with AZAC. The railings, balusters, and decking will be mahogany.
Okay.
And you're adding the slider also?
That's correct, yes. It will be an Anderson 400 series.
What is there currently?
Yeah, Lydia, could you put up the view of what's there currently?
Yep, let me try, I'll stop this one and then go to. One moment. So I don't know if we'll be able to tell very well. It looks like it's,
Looks like
can you
it's,
see it now?
well,
Yes.
we see a series, so it's a little harder unless we zero in on one of them.
It's a screened in enclosure with a low pitch roof.
That's coming off, correct. And the two windows that are above that would be coming out and the slider would be going in.
So that's really not what's on the agenda. What's on the agenda is a simple deck project. I don't think there was much beyond that.
We can certainly resubmit.
Do you want us to vote on the deck project now, or do you want to come back for the two things together?
Well, if you could do the deck project, that would be great, and we'll come back with the removing of the two windows, installing the slider.
Okay, is that okay with you, Lydia?
Yeah,
Okay.
Can I see what the balusters look like? I don't know if it's not very evident in your drawing what they're going to look like.
I don't have a picture of that with me other than the concept drawing. They're just
maybe close up a bit on them. Is that better?
They're just square. Yeah.
they're square, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions about the porch? The deck?
I'm not sure if it were me, if I would just want the whole thing painted. But maybe I'm just used to seeing all the houses, including mine, at the corner of Holbrook and Railroad, where the entire rail system is painted white.
Over time, they'll turn gray.
Right, they weather out to gray. Mahogany weathers to kind of a silvery gray color.
Yeah, and then it will match the shingling on
Shingle.
the back.
Yeah.
It's quite a big change from what's there. What's there is just on the lower level, right? I didn't walk to the very back of the property.
Yeah, it's on the lower level. It's actually a big improvement from what's there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the screen enclosure isn't historically significant or anything. I don't think it's a big loss by any means.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with you, Luke.
There's,
I think the deck looks fine to me.
Yeah, it looks fine to me too. I should say ahead of time, I have concerns about the sliders, but we'll talk about that later. But the deck itself looks fine to me. Does anybody else have concerns about the deck, or shall we go ahead and vote on that?
I'm a little curious about what's going to happen to the door on the ground level, the ground floor door. Is that remaining? 'Cause that's an original door there. Yeah, it looks like it's staying.
That is
At least
staying,
It's
yes.
in the, okay. So the only thing that's changing are the two windows on the deck level.
Yes.
Correct, and we'll resubmit for that.
Okay. All right.
So do we have a motion?
Move to accept the deck plan from Cape Associates as presented.
I'd second it.
Well, not quite as presented. It's
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
Well, the deck as presented, but not the door. Should we say it that way?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
the
we can
door's
say
not.
that
Yeah.
again.
The removal of the existing screened porch addition at the rear and the installation of the deck as designed.
Mhm.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'm not good at these motions. Especially when I'm trying to write them down.
Were you able to get that, Carol?
Would you repeat that again?
Gordon?
The removal of the existing screen porch addition at the rear of the subject property and the installation of the new deck as submitted.
I second the motion. No, Luke already seconded. Or was it Luke?
Well, I did, and the way you reiterated there makes sense to me. So yeah, I'd second that.
Okay, great. So I vote aye. Merrill?
Gordon, I.
Lydia,
Carol, I.
Tom, I.
Jim and Luke?
I vote aye.
Great. And Luke, I assume is aye, but he's
Aye,
on.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right. So all set with that. Thank you very much, and we look forward to meeting with you later.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye-bye. Okay, and then the next item is 110 Cannon Hill Road.
okay.
Who's here to present that?
Okay. I'll share the screen now.
Okay. Do we have a presenter?
This is from Highland Builders. Let's look again at the people that are in the meeting.
It's Jean and Fran are the
Narrowgate is Ann. I'm not sure if Rick. Is Rick from Highland Builders? I can unmute. Maybe I'll unmute him.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's working. Rick, are you there?
Well, maybe we should just go on to the next item then.
Okay, I might try and phone him to see if he's available. That way we can look at it after the next.
Do you want to
So
put
I'll
your,
just make that smaller. What's that?
I'm just wondering
What's that,
how,
Meryl?
yeah, can anybody else call him so that we can go on with the meeting? Or are you the only one who has the information?
I can do that. I mean, all of these are in your Gmail, or I mean, in your email, because it was sent to everybody. But I can try and, if we want to go to the 22-way 55, I can get that up on the screen. Or if you want to start just with Ann giving an introduction.
65 School Street is the next one.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. I have the application, but I don't see a phone number for it, so I hope you have one.
All right, so this is, let me just download this.
Lydia, since we have so much on the agenda, I'm tempted to just go through the agenda and see if he comes on and then call him at the end.
Sure, that's fine.
Asking others to wait. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
All right, so I think this is it. There's a lot of technical, do we have someone for this project here?
Oh, yeah, that's the other issue.
It was a narrow gate. I don't know who that is.
We don't know who Rick is. But
Narrowgate is Kitty Ryan for 22 Way 55.
maybe we should just go to
So
Kitty,
I'm
because
with the
the
solar
other two aren't
projects.
here.
Okay. Let me stop the share of that and then go to Kitty. There's a whole folder of the material here. So
This is Kitty Ryan and Joseph Valelli. Am I pronouncing the names correctly?
Valerie.
Valelli, okay. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Merrill Mead Fox. We met in person with masks on, Kitty. It's nice to see you.
Remember, yes, and I met Carol too.
Yes, very nice to see you.
Again. Thank you.
Okay, now that's you. Okay.
Do you want me to do a little presentation for
That'd
you?
be great.
Okay, sure. So just to start, Joe and I bought the property about 2 months ago now, and you probably know it was formerly a rental cottage for the colony. And so from the moment we saw it in August, we just loved the simplicity of it, and the siting and the beauty of it. And we've since learned a lot about mid-century modern architecture.
That's all right. I'm muted. Historic Commission. I'm not on. I'm just observing.
Okay, thank you. If you can mute yourself again, that would be great. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. So just to say, we've learned a lot since about mid-century modern architecture in Wellfleet, and just really excited about kind of continuing the spirit of simple modern architecture in our proposed design. So I'm an architect and I'm the primary designer. Joe is the assistant designer, and I'm just really excited to work with kind of the simple materials and detailing. So do you? I don't know if you want me to describe the existing cottage, or you want to see images of it, or should I just keep going?
which picture would you like to go to first?
Maybe if you go into the drawing, let's see, the one that has a cover sheet that says Wellfleet Cottage on it. Yeah, the set of drawings, I'm thinking the one right next to it. Yeah. So if you clicked on that, I could maybe flip through that. I could show you the existing cottage.
The sizing is needs to be adjusted here.
Okay.
I've been in the existing cottage, by the way. I had looked at it when it was on the market, and I knew Eleanor well, who of course owned the colony.
Fantastic. Wow.
We should tell you that Gordon is also an architect.
Oh, terrific. Good.
I'm a big fan of the simplicity of Wellfleet mid-century architecture,
Yeah.
and about the way it marries to the land,
Yeah.
and about the simplicity of the details.
I'm with you. Yeah, we're really, really excited about it. Well, I'll keep talking as Lydia's getting that picture to come up, but some of you maybe have seen the cottage, but so what the configuration now is two back-to-back kind of studio units, consisting of sort of a main room that's the living room and bedroom, a kind of a sun porch, a small galley kitchen, and a bathroom. And there's a concrete block wall between them, their mirror image, and there's no interior connection right now. The exterior is just simple plywood, painted plywood siding, flat rubber roof. The windows are, most of them have been replaced and they're vinyl now, but they're awning type. The screen porches have aluminum glass and screen slider panels right now. What else? And then there's these beautiful big, almost 5-foot square fixed windows in the corners of the big rooms with kind of built-in louver screen, really cool system underneath for ventilation. So our plan is to combine the two sides into one residential unit, and we'd use the east side facing the woods as our living space and the west side as our bedroom space. I'll wait for the image to come up and I can take you through it.
If I could, let me try again because I can see it, but I guess nobody else can. So let me just go back to this and tell me if you see it now on the screen.
Yeah, there we go.
Great. Terrific. So maybe you can just scroll through the first bunch of drawings is existing. There's the site plan. You can see it's kind of up a big hill. There's the two back-to-back units, the existing exterior elevations, the windows. And then this is our proposed site plan. I don't know if you could make it a little bigger maybe. Oh, great. There we go. So, our plan is to break through, and you can see how we've kind of maintained those 4 sort of main rooms and combined the galley kitchens into one kitchen and sort of using the entries as our front and back door now, where it had been two primary entries. And then what we're proposing is a little bit hard to see, but so right now in the back, well, I guess it's the north side, it'd be on the left on the plan, there's a little bump out that's a utility room. It has a hot water heater in it, and oh, there we go, great. Electric panel and that kind of thing. So it's really the main, kind of the only utility space. And given we're intending to spend more time here, and so we tried to find a way to sort of thoughtfully add some utility space, while still being in the spirit of the building. So what we're proposing is kind of going from that little utility closet and following the line of it toward the back of the site and wrapping around, kind of following the retaining wall configuration. And it's about a 50 square feet in bump out. And then in the front, or facing way 55, we're adding this kind of site wall that encloses an outdoor shower. And so the totality of those additions, if you looked at it in roof plan, they'd be symmetrical. So they would kind of follow those retaining walls, and it'd be the same kind of sort of cross shape symmetry that you see now. There are tiny little entry canopies that in the corners on each side, and we're proposing to take those down and to extend them and have sort of a roof covering, more informal sort of open air mudroom space in the front and the rear. Let's see, what else can I tell you? So windows, again, we'd replace the existing awning windows with new aluminum clad wood windows. One thing we'd like to do is we noticed that in there's one room that there are two narrow, oh no, you can almost see it there. There are two narrow awnings together, and they're wood, and we're wondering maybe they're original, but the other side, it's broken into 3 windows. And so what we'd like to do is to go to that double window. Oh, here you can see it right here. That's great. So on the right-hand side in the bottom drawing, you see the 2 together that are a little more rectangular, and then there's the 3 squares. And so we'd like to go back to the rectangular and have those two be the same. We'd restore the big glass corners, but we'd put in insulating glass, and we'd keep the louvers and just put new screens in them. Probably maybe the bigger change in the front or on the south side on the sun porches, we'd take the aluminum sliders off, and I'm pretty sure they're not original. I know they're not original. And we learned through looking through historic documents and conversation, actually Peter McMahon, that this really was, the screen porches were divided differently. I mean, the south face here, it was 3, and then the sides were divided into 4. And so what we'd like to do is to use tall casement windows and kind of bring back the same division pattern. I think in this drawing, in the proposed drawing, if you scroll down, Lydia, you could see we proposed 4 on the south end, but we want to go back to 3 because we found a picture that we sent along where, keep going down. Yeah, past the plan, and then, yeah, let's see. Okay, that's the studio, maybe up before that. Okay, great. There, but you can see in the lower elevation on the left side, you can see the 4 divisions of the tall casement windows.
And there were originally 4 windows?
Yeah, well, it was actually a screen porch that was
Yeah.
framed into 4.
It was framed into 4. Oh.
Yeah, it was. And the end wall was framed into 3. And I do have some photos, I could show you that, but and then in that same drawing where you see the 4 panels, and then you see that big square window with louvers under it, that's original. And then we proposed to add another window next to it, the same size. So that's the side that's facing the woods. And when you're in that room now, I mean, it's fantastic looking straight out through the screen porch, but you can't see the woods very well. So we would love to kind of bring the woods in by having a window on that side.
And what happens between these windows? Is it a mullion? Do they appear to be ganged together when the composition is complete?
Well, I've been studying it, and I'm working with Lowen windows, and they have these wonderful push-out casements. And the sizes that I've been looking at, I want to gang 2 together, have a mullion, or have a post, and then another 2 together.
You're talking about the 4 casements in a
The
row.
4 casements, yeah, exactly.
Gang 2 together and have a post. So the distance between the middle 2 will be different than the distance between the end ones?
Yep.
Is there any way to put them all together as one?
Well, I was thinking about that. It would be this enormous, that they could gang them all together, but it would be this huge 10-foot by 7-foot panel that worries me that we'd be able to handle it, to get it in there. So that's a concern. I mean, and the other is I was trying to do it where they're for the individual casements and they don't have the right sizes to fit, so that I would have some structure between each one. Because right now there's only 3 inches between the top of the windows and the roof rafters. And I need to fit some, maybe tube steel or something in there to hold.
Right.
Right now it's just a double top plate. There's nothing else there.
Right. No, it'll need something up there.
Yeah.
I'm just a little concerned about the way the windows gang together. And I noticed it also on the elevation that you provided of the little studio that you're constructing.
Yep.
I had some questions about how things could be ganged, just to keep it, as clean as possible. I mean, I feel like clean is the operative word here.
I agree. Yeah, there's a studio in that drawing, and you can see it's just to say it's a detached building.
I can't see because wait, how do I have to move all the people. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Right, the composition in the lower drawing of those windows
Yep.
doesn't feel consistent to me with not just the spirit of mid-century architecture, but the other structures that compose the colony. It doesn't seem like the windows are, the composition doesn't seem like it's all together.
What would you suggest? We were kind of back and forth a lot on this composition, so tell me your thoughts.
You know, first of all, I would try to gang things together so there isn't space between them. I mean, I don't mind having the door with a fixed window up above it and having the awning window to the right.
Yep.
I just wonder if the three of those windows can be, the door and the two windows can be ganged together so that it's just clean.
I see. I see.
And you don't see any of the sort of siding between things.
Okay, I got it. Yep. Yeah, I think that would be great. I'm sure we could do that. I mean, we could just make a bigger, kind of transom light above there and
And
a
the
bigger
awning window. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm just uncomfortable with the space between
Okay.
those three elements.
Yep. Like that's, yeah, I like that. We could do that.
I have another question, and I don't mean to interrupt your presentation,
Oh, that's fine.
but how did you arrive at the height of the new structure that you're constructing?
Yeah, that's a
Well,
great
as I-
question. Well, I'll tell you that it was two things. One to get a little more head height in the room, because right now the existing cottage has about a 7'8" ceiling. But the other is the way the land is going. So the cottage sits at about elevation 59, let's say. And so what happens is then the site is growing up to 60, 61. And what I wanted to do with the studio was to have it kind of sit on the land and have the hill kind of go down past it, not do a lot of retaining walls. So I had to lift up the floor a little bit to not dig out the earth around it. That's some of the reason. So it's
Is the view improved by raising the height of that structure? Is that part of it? I think when you look.
Yeah, not probably marginally.
Mhm.
It's more about not wanting to dig it out, I think.
So, for me, mid-century architecture, albeit this really falls as much in the international style as it does in the notion of Reichian architecture. Maybe Neutra is the best guy to turn to in a case like this, when you think about the combination of the European style and the American style from this era. And then there's a house that, as you drive down to the gut, that I believe was designed by Breuer on the right side, where there's sort of a simple low house that sits sort of in between the dunes. And then there's this big addition to it. And it's always troubled me. And that, could be authentic in its own way. It's just, as a kid who grew up in Usonia, with the idea that a house should wrap around the hill as opposed to sitting on top of the hill. This design, to which I'm not saying no, I'm just really questioning, why wouldn't it sit down a bit and and retain the hill a little bit, so that the long, low proportions of all of the houses in the colony are maintained in your design.
Yeah.
So it was just my first reaction. It just, it's high, and it's also on the high point.
Yeah.
And it kind of sits up above everything.
Yep.
And it feels a little inconsistent to me with the proportion of all the other houses that are in the colony, all the other cottages that are long and low and vaguely Usonian and vaguely international.
Yep.
And so I had a question. I don't know why you chose to lift it. If it were me, I probably would sink it. Unless there was something that I was trying to achieve in terms of exposure.
Yep.
And it could be that the roof line is still high. You don't necessarily have to keep the 7'8" ceiling height in there.
Yep.
I mean, you could probably drop the whole thing down and wind up with a 9-foot ceiling inside, and just be the difference between the height of your new roof and the height of the existing roof would be sort of what we perceive as a clear story window, that kind of change in elevation.
Yep.
And partly because the footprint of what you're building is not huge. There's a verticality to what you've drawn here that feels inconsistent. But again, I'm not I'm not the end all here. They were just my thoughts, and feel free to respond.
Sure. Yeah. No, I really welcome your thoughts. I mean, right now it's 5 feet higher, and looking from here, it is a little jarring. You know, what's maybe I was focused too much on the base and thinking that I really want that hill to just pass through, and I don't want to interrupt it. You know, but it does result in something bigger. I mean, maybe we can look at the 3-dimensional drawings and think around it a little bit. We're totally open to pushing it down a little too. I mean, it's about 5 feet higher now.
I mean, I totally like the idea of having a high ceiling height. I think that's great, but I think you
Yeah.
can achieve it by pushing it down into the hill.
Yep.
With the tree, I know there's a tree, big tree, is that?
Yeah, that's true too. There are three trees kind of bracketing the studio, and we were trying to obviously maintain them. That's why the one of the walls is stepped back, or 2 of them.
Mhm.
And the sonotubes are not going to bother the roots like a foundation wall would. That's a little bit of a worry, I think. We did have an arborist come out and, you know, kind of walked through and said,
yeah.
you know, so that helps. Yeah.
So in looking at the drawing on the right, for example,
Yep.
it looks high to me. It looks high to me among a sort of a composition of many low structures that hug the ground in that very mid-century way.
Yeah. We see what you're seeing here too, and it's interesting because, you know, we are at the high point, and then it starts dropping off big time. So you see the tall sonotubes, which maybe makes it look bigger there, which it is.
Well, I'm looking at the relationship between the roof height on the new structure compared to the roof height on the existing structure, knowing that the roof height on the existing structure is consistent with the other structures
Gotcha.
of what sets us apart.
Could you imagine it being maybe a 3-foot difference instead of 5? Kind of as a clear story? Is that too much still in your mind, or?
I mean, I think it would help. I'd like to look at it that way, certainly. I mean, I don't,
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like you could do that, and if you feel like you don't want to sink down for some reason.
Well, maybe it's a combination, you know?
I mean, all the other houses marry to the ground.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in this composition of charming mid-century structures that sits up above the ground in this way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. No, I see what you're saying.
But again, you know,
Yeah.
I'm pretty easygoing. I just want to raise it as a question, because I would hate to have there be something constructed in the context of what I have thought for my whole life is this wonderful composition of charming mid-century houses that Eleanor loved and loved and loved for all those years.
Yeah.
To have something that is taller than its width permits and raises out of the ground when every other structure there seems to be married to the ground and hugging the ground.
Yep. So would you imagine it being somehow like a slab on grade and try to kind of berming around it, sort of thing? Or what would you?
So that's what I would do. I would sink it down.
Yeah.
And I would have it be slab on grade.
Yeah.
And, you know, the full height would not be visible from the uphill side.
Well, it isn't now, amazingly. I have a little video I could show you. Because it's 14 feet up on the hill, you can't see it from way 55. I'm still trying to.
You can't look, is it visible at all from Chequesset Neck Road in between those 2 houses that are there as you look up above Bob's house there? Because I know
the cottages, yep, but I don't know that the studio would be, because I think it's shoved to the north.
Yeah.
You know.
Would you like to meet there together?
Sure. Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that. I'm in New York on Wednesdays and Thursdays, but I'm in Wellfleet other than that.
Okay.
And I'd love to find a time to kind of talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're actually going to be there Saturday.
Yeah, that would work for me.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I'd like to walk it with you.
Okay.
And I'd like to help find something that's approvable, that appears to be part of the original composition of the colony.
Sounds good. Are there other,
We should table voting on this and wait for all of you to meet together. And we really appreciate your flexibility in thinking about options.
oh, sure. We really love it too, and we want it to work. And so we're very open. I'd love to hear, I don't know if it makes sense now, you had time to or not, but the idea of adding that large window, how does that feel on the east side? Or is it something we talk about as we walk around? Is that better?
It's easier for me if we talk about it as we walk around. I'm an old guy and Zoom never really does it for me. But I think also that beyond that, the windows, and I thought your plan for the cottage itself was quite ingenious. And I think it was a difficult design problem. And I think you guys did a terrific job on that.
All right. Thank you.
And so, because it was hard, I looked at it and thought about how they could be combined.
Mhm.
I thought about buying it to preserve it, actually.
Mhm. Or
But-
you can help me.
but I do, but I think that a lot of what you've done is terrific. You know, what you've done with the main cottage, it's tricky to work in this vocabulary in this day and age when everything is on steroids. And you know, that's great. But I would like to talk more about the new structure. And then maybe we could take a look more closely at the windows when we're together.
Sure.
I don't mean to be presumptuous by setting up this meeting on behalf of everybody. I mean, name a time on Saturday, and I suppose anybody who's available, we can go ahead and do that. But I do think this is important, and I think it's important to walk through it with you when you have the actual physical drawings there,
Sure.
so we can take a look at them together.
Sounds great. Let's do that. How would I get in touch with you about timing and all that?
Well, what time would you like to do it?
What do you think? We'll be there.
1 o'clock? Is that-
Yeah, does 1 o'clock work for you?
Let me check. I think it does. Saturday at 1 o'clock is great.
Good.
And any of you guys who want to join me, please join me.
There is no bathroom there. We
Yeah,
have
we
to
gotta
tell
tell
you,
you.
no bathroom,
Love to be
no
able
water,
to
no,
host
no.
you, but yeah.
I will say, and I know Merrill was there last Saturday as well, that walking the property with you, Kitty, was an enormous help.
Oh, good. I'm glad I was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very helpful for both of us. It's a lovely site.
Oh,
Oh.
we're so excited about it. Yeah.
It's so exciting. Oh my God, it's a dream project, you guys. Congratulations.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She's never been happier.
I know. Well, it's funny. We live in this huge triple decker, well, huge, super tall in Boston. And to be able to work on something that you can almost touch the top of, and
Yeah.
it's all just so simple and perfect, it's really a dream. It is. So I'm
Great.
pretty excited.
It's wonderful.
So I just want to check in with Lydia about this because this is unusual for us to have a consultant architect who can meet with you separately. And
Well, anybody, yeah.
I think one of the things we have to be careful of, if more than a few people go, it is a site visit, but you may want to make sure that you're not deliberating and making decisions outside of the public meeting. I mean, you can talk to the project proponents, but I think in terms of decision making, it'll come back to the commission.
Oh, yeah.
Did the plans go to Paul in the building department?
They did,
then-
Yep.
So, and he asked to have the outbuilding as well as the proposed changes to the main structure brought in front of us?
Well, I talked to him about it and he said it was fine if I did it parallel. So I sent it to him the same day I sent it to you. And he knows, and I copied him and all that, so.
I'm just wondering about the outbuilding.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate the amount of detail and all the thought that's going into having it go along with the rest of the property and the architecture on the property, but I just wasn't sure if that was even for us to vote on, since it's an outbuilding, if you fall within the setbacks and it's permittable it's not part of the existing house, which is a historic structure or historically significant.
I see.
And I didn't know if Paul asked for both projects to be brought in front of us, or if that was just for us to discuss and take a look at,
He didn't-
or actually vote on.
I don't know.
I don't see how it would, I don't see how a secondary building on the property would really fall under our jurisdiction, but again, I appreciate all the detail and effort you're obviously making to have it jive with the rest of the architecture.
I know that there's effort afoot to make the entire colony an historic piece. So I don't know how much that might play into this as well. It's not going to be, I think, just single buildings, but the entire
Right.
area.
Yeah, well, I don't want to sound like I you know, am advocating to have just any structure built there. I think it's great, the detail that you've put into it and all the open discussions. It's just my only question is really if Paul asked us to vote on that outbuilding as well as the proposed changes to the existing building.
I don't think Paul has ever asked us to review anything in particular. I mean,
Right. Well, he's pretty new in the office, but I mean, a permit would be issued unless it was deemed that it should come in front of us. But, you know, which part of that's coming in front of us, or both?
On the agenda, it has, well, it's the combination of 2 existing units into one, new roof, window and door replacement, addition of new studio.
So I guess the new studio is for us to vote on, even though it's not an existing historic building.
No, but I think, well, personally, I think it's on there because of the colony and the way that all of the buildings interrelate. And you would want to have review on it. If the project proponents feel that we shouldn't review it, that's, you know, I think from what I'm seeing, it looks like they would like to have our input on it.
Yeah, and I agree. We all appreciate it. It's more of a technical question. I was wondering if it was for us to definitely vote on, or if we're just having an open discussion on it.
Mm-hmm.
I put in we put in the application, assuming that it would be important to, you know, to look at as a piece. So
Well,
Paul didn't weigh in on it.
I certainly appreciate your willingness to meet with me on Saturday. I look forward to kind of going through drawing by drawing with you guys and just kind of looking together at it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
It's generous of you to spend time doing that. Thank you.
Oh, well, but I mean, it's we're loving this. So, you know, before we maybe, I don't know, or have a chance to add something else. So I'm wondering if the commission could give me some input too on the small additions we're planning. Is that something that that seems like it would be, like, let's say we're not talking about the studio right now, but just the cottage itself. Does it feel like something that would be approvable as we've designed it?
Speaking for myself, it does seem approvable to me. Yes.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's helpful for me to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I think you've got those sliding forms, long, low, playing off the retaining walls, that kind of mid-century composition.
Yeah. Okay.
That looks really fine to me.
Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I certainly appreciate the fact that you're trying so hard to work within the confines of this particular architectural style and to maintain the integrity of the colony as a whole, which I think is really important here. Thank you very, very much.
Yeah, no, it's important to me too. Thank you. Yeah, as I said, you know, this is like a dream place for us, and for lots of reasons, architecture being one of them. You know,
Yeah.
so, thanks.
That's terrific. Thank you for being so open and letting us comment so much.
Yeah.
Me especially. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. Look forward to seeing you out there.
Terrific. Thank
Bill,
you.
shall we put you on the agenda for next month then and plan to meet and talk about it again?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
And we need to be careful that we don't have, let's see, in terms of open meeting laws, Lydia, we would need no more than how many people there? No,
Three would be fine, but 4 is a quorum, so you'd have to post it as a meeting if you have 4 there. I believe that's the rule.
Would it be possible for you to vote on the cottage part? Does that make sense? Only because we're trying to, line up, planning for, building and all that stuff. And the studio could be a second phase for us even, not that a month will make a huge difference, but it is given builders on the Cape, as you know.
No, and I appreciate that. And I've been in that position many times before. Speaking purely for myself here, I'd love to look at it with you when we're there together to take a look at the fenestration specifically.
Okay.
And the way the windows gang together and sort of how that mullion is going to look.
Okay.
Would it help if we were to have a second meeting sooner than the April meeting? That's maybe a possibility. I don't know if the others are on board with that, but we've done that from time to time. We're all volunteers, and so it is a time commitment for everybody. I don't know if it's a possibility.
Fine with me.
I'd be open to that.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, so
Um,
align kind of the drawing schedule with the meeting schedule to get it
Yeah.
right.
So if we were to meet in perhaps 2 weeks?
Sure. That'd be great.
So I guess we should get a raise of hands of how many of us can be here. That would be the 17th of March. It's St. Patty's Day. I don't know if that's
Oh,
important.
yeah.
It's a holiday.
Well, we'll
It's
come in green.
It's a high holy day.
I could do it, Lydia.
I can do it. Gordon can do it.
I can do it.
Thank you.
Kind of loaded with meetings that day. I don't think I can, but
Yeah, I can't. I got another meeting the 17th. We were thinking that nobody would have meetings. Shellfish Advisory Board's having a meeting. We said nobody else would have a meeting.
And Jim and Luke, are you able to be
When?
there on the 17th?
Yes, I can be there.
Thanks.
It's a Tuesday. It's a Wednesday. Okay. No, that's
Wednesday.
Were we saying 5 o'clock?
Yeah,
I don't think that would be a problem for me.
okay. So it sounds like we have enough people anyway. So maybe we should plan that then, 5 PM on the 17th.
okay.
you'll need somebody to take minutes.
Is anybody willing to take minutes?
Although, no.
Stop it.
Maybe James.
Jim, would you be willing to be our secretary for one night?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming before us and being willing to come back in a couple of weeks. And we really appreciate your openness to discussing it further and your willingness, Gordon, to be a special consultant on the project.
You're welcome. Thank you all. See you Saturday, Gordon.
I'll see you Saturday.
Okay, awesome.
Very great.
Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice. All right.
Okay,
I need to know if I'm being too difficult from you guys. I don't know what.
No, you're not. We're
no,
very-
I think it's wonderful to have you on board and to have your understanding of modern architecture, and it's wonderful that they're so open to being willing to meet with you.
Yes, absolutely. They certainly didn't. They didn't push back as hard as I might have. But you've been on the other foot. What do you
Yeah.
think, Luke?
Great to
Yeah,
have
no, my comments are only, I think it's great that they're willing to work so hard on the project and make it fit in. I just was wondering more about the,
Jurisdiction.
yeah, and the technical side of who hands what to who and at what point, and sometimes that gets a little blurry. And, but if they're jumping through hoops that they don't need to, it's
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's fine with us, but it's all time spent
Right.
for somebody.
All right, I think we should go on to another item since we're not here right
Okay.
now.
So we have these two, we have 65 School Street and 110 Cannon Hill Road, but Rick said that he wasn't here for either of those. So I think, but I don't know if we want to make phone calls about those two or just assume that we'll meet with them a different night. I'm
Well,
tempted to just say we'll meet with them a different next month since they haven't shown up, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
unlikely that.
That's the way it should be, really. If you're not going
just put it
to.
to the next
we have
meeting.
a long agenda as it is and it doesn't, yeah.
Okay, so the solar projects we've typically been able, those have been always very straightforward.
Yeah,
And I almost feel it'd be good to go ahead and review that one because there's solar is fully reversible.
uh-huh.
I think that the solar panels, if I understood the drawings correctly, were actually on an outbuilding at the garage at the back of this existing house. And it seems to me that it's something that's not only approvable, but a really good thing to approve.
Yeah, I agree with you. It did look like it was only in the garage and I went to the property and it's behind the house. You don't see it very well anyway. And
Right.
um,
And
Is
it's
there
the right
anything
thing
on the
to do.
main structure on the south side and the back? I thought there might be. I
oh,
wasn't sure.
Luke, did you see this one, the plans? Did it look to you like it was just on the garage?
It says installation of 10 solar panels on garage and linked back to main house for power.
Yeah. So I think it's just the garage and it's in the back.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And it seems like we should, I move to approve it as submitted.
I second the motion.
Lydia, I.
Him,
Merrill,
aye.
I.
Caroline.
Tom, I.
Okay.
Gordon, aye.
Good idea, Lydia.
Well, I know the solar ones are usually quite
Pretty
straightforward.
straightforward. Okay, so we'll get back to Cannon Hill.
Please say safety number.
Who was that?
That was
I'm sorry, that was my son.
Oh,
Um,
Right, I have mine here too.
Can I just circle back for just a minute? You know, part of the reason why maybe I didn't want to come across as being interested in that last case for no apparent reason, but you know, there's other buildings in town that have received permits in the historical district for outbuildings that haven't come in front of us. So I don't see why one would and another wouldn't.
Mm.
But you know, that's part of my thought was not really understanding. I think it's great what they're doing, but I just didn't understand if the building inspector is sending certain things our way and others are just getting issued without being sent our way. I don't really understand why.
Maybe the thing to do would be to talk to Paul about it. Meryl and I can do that
Mhm.
and report back at the next meeting or by email.
yeah. I think you
But-
have a good point, Luke, because the studio doesn't involve demolition of the historic structure, whereas the windows and the door changes do, but
Yeah, and I mean, we all agree that it's a historically significant job site and that it absolutely should be taken into consideration, and the design should be developed with that in mind. There's absolutely no pushback from me on that. It's just a matter of by the rules as they stand, if you fall within the setbacks and there's not a volume issue and all the other town boards would approve the building, does it really fall into our lap? And if it does, how come there's other outbuildings in the historic district that don't come in front of us and the permits are issued?
So is the colony as a whole calendared to be considered historic? Has it proceeded to a point where there is a plan and a method to having the whole thing becoming historic?
They did
Because-
They did a nomination for him. Sarah Korjeff worked on it some years ago, but it was never submitted to the state or the feds,
Mhm.
what I understand. But the work was all done for in the nomination form.
And Carol, you seem to be implying that there was something more recently?
I know that in the Provincetown Independent, there have been several articles about the buildings for sale in the colonies, and a great fear that the architectural integrity of these buildings would be damaged, as well as the integrity of the colony as a whole. I suspect that if the nomination went forward, there'd be a lot of people that would be very, very happy about that. I think this is a very different situation than an outbuilding in other parts of the historic district. I mean, putting something, and thank Gordon for bringing this up, but if you are going to raise something and make something more vertical than horizontal, you are in effect changing the architecture of the area. And am I saying that right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking to Luke's point, I know that in many instances, when something is quote unquote calendared as going to be designated as historic, then it would fall under our jurisdiction. But if it's not quote unquote calendared, whatever that may or may not mean, then Luke may well be right that it doesn't fall under our jurisdiction, which would be too bad because I'd really like it to be lower. But maybe she'll do it anyway if I just talk to her about it. Yeah.
There's also the question of maybe a person would want to have the input of the historical commission.
There's
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think that Gordon's comments were, you know, I think they're very lucky to have Gordon's input, and if Gordon's willing to have a meeting with them, I think that's great. For me, it was that my train of thought is more geared towards technically speaking, if
they just build it of right is really what
and it's not really about their project as much as what the channels are for what comes in front of us, and if there's a building that's historically significant and they want to have an outbuilding, does that get permitted without coming to us? Or if not, then it seems like there should be some kind of cut and dry.
Yeah, I mean, they could build a gambrel roof shed building there. It's based on what you're saying, Luke, if as long as it complies with lot and bulk.
Well, and I'm obviously they don't want to do that, and I know nobody would pull for them to do something like that. But
interesting question.
I just don't know if if there was a garage being built, like on the corner of Bank Street years ago, there was a garage built that I actually renovated it at one point, but it looks like it's in line with the house, and they took that into the house into consideration as a queue for the garage, and it was approved.
Oh, yeah.
But in other cases, an outbuilding hasn't come in front of us, and I just don't know why. And in any case, and I'm not trying to drag the meeting on and on about, it just doesn't seem like there's like a set standard. And I just didn't know if Paul asked us to review that, or if we were just reviewing it out of curiosity.
So why don't Lydia or I talk to Paul? Because it sounds like what you're bringing up is important in terms of setting a precedent and maybe ethically about what we are and aren't allowed to do. So why don't we get clarity on that? It may be, it seems appropriate for them to get a consult with Gordon anyway, and we might need to just be clear with them about what we can and can't approve, and go from there. Is that okay with everybody?
Lydia, what has to happen for that nomination to go forward? You know why it stopped?
I think it might have had to do with the other property owners there, possibly. I'm not sure why it wasn't eventually submitted.
I think it should go forward, to tell you the truth.
It was at the time that, at Way 55, there's that house right on the edge of the colony property that looks like it was built maybe around 1990 or so.
Right.
It was right around that time that they were trying to get the whole colony protected and maybe stop that project.
Mm-hmm.
I may not remember it right, but the I think Sarah has shared the whole nomination form with us, and I can forward that along.
Yeah.
I
I think
so I assume it was a it was a register, a National Register of Historic Places.
Yep, it was to, just like with the Wellfleet Center Historic District, you do an inventory of all the properties. You have write-ups, you know,
Yeah.
deeds, all the kind of research you get in a Form B.
But that's not protective, I thought it was just honorary.
Well, it's a step to, it's the necessary step before it could be a protected place.
Oh, because I thought the only thing that was protective was if it was a local historic district and that was a separate process.
There's things that are on the National Register that can be reviewed by historical commissions and the Cape Cod Commission.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Right. That Wright community that I referred to earlier that's in Westchester that's called Usonia is on the National Register, but it's also some kind of historic something, so that if you want to do anything there, it really has to be sympathetic with what's there now and approved by a board.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a local, what's called a local historic district, and
Maybe we need to get that. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I think we should move on.
okay.
I think the people that are there now know that they're being threatened, and I think it might be they might be more amenable than they have been in the past. And the people who are buying there, I think, so far are also concerned about maintaining the integrity of that area. So it might be the right time for them to agree to this, because I think people are aware that
Parcel of land was also sold off, right, on kind of the back side of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, well, we'll see.
Okay, so there's more to explore about that.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So everybody okay with moving on?
Yes.
My son Carter is especially okay with it because I have to go somewhere with him soon. He's sitting right here.
We'll try to move on. Thank him for being so quiet. Okay, so the next item is 20 Briar Lane, which is under an 18-month demolition delay, which is up as of April 8th. I have been sending a monthly letter to Thor and Maya. I haven't heard back from them since last April. This month I sent them a letter just with information about various funding resources for historic preservation should they choose to do that. I hear various rumors about what's happening, but we haven't received any direct information from them about what's happening about that property.
That's I know it's a concern because I'd hate to be in a position where we're thinking one thing and then something else happens, you know, a demolition takes place.
Demolition wouldn't be till next October, right?
Right. It's
Right.
18 months from April 8th, 2020.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. Well, is there more that you would want to do about it, Lydia?
Maybe check in with the building inspector again and see if there's any news. I know that in the past, one of the alternatives to demolition is, you know, finding another property. And I'm not sure if that's what's going on or if there's any progress there, but that's one hope. So we'll see.
All right.
So they withdrew from going in front of the zoning board any further, but that doesn't necessarily mean they withdrew their demolition delay.
Yeah, that's a good question.
They did not, I talked with Paul about it last month. He said they did not withdraw the demolition delay request, so they still have the request in. And yeah, and I guess that's the main thing I know from him. I had heard that they were thinking about starting the health club in a different location, but I don't know whether that's really happening.
Tell you about the Cove site. That's going to be a pot shop. I talked to the manager of the area there of the building.
I heard that too. The former First National grocery store.
Yeah. Yet another pot shop. How many? Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4 only.
Yeah.
We're gonna have as many pot shops as liquor shops. Everybody's gonna be high all the time. Sorry, that was
Lot of
very,
Law, you're allowed to have as many pot shops as liquor shops.
Roland's done a nice job though with that old TD Bank building. I have to say, it looks better and better. And for years I used to say to him, Roland, I think you forgot you owned that building. Would you please do something
Oh,
about
he did.
it?
for saying so. It looks great. Okay, so the next item is the Wampanoag gravesite. I don't know, do you want to, were you able to get any information, Carol?
Yeah, I wrote to an email to Ryan Curley to ask what information he was looking for. He indicated to me that for some reason, he did not tell me why, but he was interested in getting in touch with some of the Wampanoag natives that still live in the area. Of course, they're down in Mashpee, but not here. And I gave him an email address of someone that I knew that we worked with at the museum. And he was not forthcoming about his reasons. I don't know.
Okay. I was just assuming that we should be aware of that because part of our mandate is to protect the archaeological resources in Wellfleet. And I know that generally the Historical Society and Museum, they had a part in the whole ceremony that involved that memorial going on to Great Island. And
they actually did the reinterment and paid for it and did the whole thing themselves. So, I mean, they
Yeah.
have all of the history that he would be interested in would be there.
yeah.
There's still people around who were at that ceremony.
Yeah, so I don't know whether we should be involved in it, but I just, do we want to clarify that at all in terms of, it seems like something that perhaps we could just work on together and just be sure that whatever is planned, but I don't know.
I don't know what he said to you. Was he looking for specific information?
No, he didn't say anything to me. I just had heard from two different sources that he was looking to make changes, and that concerned me, given what I know about the history of what happened here. I mean, it seems like that the bones of that woman have been in several different locations, and it seems a shame to me, frankly, to move them again.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. We have not experienced any kind of concern about that at the Historical Society, and we were the ones that really would. I mean, the Wampanoag Indians, and we've worked with several, Marcus Hendricks and Linda Coombs and several others have never suggested that she be reinterred or that it was a disrespectful spot. They were in on the selection of the spot to begin with. There's a little bit of concern about some of the wording on the tombstone itself that makes it sound as though the Indians wanted to be a part of the colonization. But to tell you the truth, the Indians haven't objected to it. So I don't know. I don't know what it's about, to tell you the truth.
well, it seems important that he talk with them, whatever his concerns are.
Well, I've
Yeah.
given him some names
you.
and phone numbers. So
Great. Okay.
Hey, Meryl.
Yes.
Meryl, it's Tom. This came up, Mary, on the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee. This came up and she asked me whether or not we wanted to put it on the our needs list as an item that we're going to focus on.
Let's know.
And I'm the gist I'm getting from Carol now.
nobody's approached us, and we have
Yeah.
worked with many of the Wampanoag Indians. There's at least 3 or 4 that were involved in our exhibit, and none of them. And part of our exhibit is the reinterment of this Indian woman.
Yeah.
The exhibit talks about ways that the Historical Society has tried to right the wrongs of some of the things that have happened in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't,
All right.
the town seal being another one, of course, that's not going to be changed. Or at least there's no movement for it.
Not so
But,
far.
you know,
Okay.
it's part of the exhibit and the information is right there on the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
That sounds good. Okay, so I'm thinking, given that this has been a long meeting, that we don't necessarily need to cover everything on the agenda, and we could put some things off for a future meeting, especially since we're meeting again in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So I'm happy to talk about community preservation as for another evening, unless anybody has anything else
Well, we do have a new Form B for 15 Squires Pond Lane that Lynn prepared.
Okay,
So
great,
I figure we can get that to some of the people that wrote to us about the building.
great.
At the building that had been for sale, that's on the
Mhm.
left,
Yeah.
right there, that's
Yeah,
Right
sheds
near
beside
Squires
it.
Pond. Yeah, we've gotten it, I don't know, 2 or 3 inquiries about it.
Mhm.
So are you
If-
okay? Do
No,
we vote
I'm
on-
not, I'm gonna miss the next meeting, Merrill.
Oh, okay. We'll miss you, Tom.
Yeah, I apologize, but let me just make one point. The CPC met last week. I just want to let you know, there's $57,000 left in the budget that's dedicated to historical. The society only got approved, and Carol, close your ears. They got approved, 12, their 12,000 got
I
approved.
already knew about that.
Oh, good, all right. We're not
Congratulations.
supposed,
So the question is,
congratulations, we're not supposed to,
could
but
ask
anyways, we got
more.
57,000. That we can use for next year. All the warrants have been completed, have been reviewed by all the town, individual select board, the finance committee, et cetera. So they're not taking any more warrants. So this will roll into the next year, which
Great.
again, will probably get another 69,000. So we'll have dedicated to historical, probably a little above $120,000. Carol, close your ears. All right.
Man, we could use all of it. We need $1 million.
Yeah, so I just want people to think about, do we want to continue the Form Bs that Lynn are doing? That's some of the thought, or any other historical places we might want to spend some money. That's all I need to say.
Thank
Think
you.
about it.
That's great news. Okay. Okay, so Tom, when you say you weren't going to be here for the next meeting, do you mean the one in 2 weeks or the one in 1 month?
The one in 2 weeks and the one in 1 month, we got a ski trip that's going on. Everybody's been vaccinated, so we're going skiing. And I'm not sure what the exact dates are. I'm not sure it's Monday, Tuesday, come home Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, come home Thursday. So I will know within a week or so.
Okay, well, if you can let us know, that would be great.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the historic plan. Oh, we were going to talk about the workshop. Is it okay with everybody if we talk about that in 2 weeks?
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that 2-week meeting should be a really brief one, since it's an extra meeting, and we could talk about the other stuff at the April meeting.
Okay, so we'll talk about community preservation, the workshop. We just talked about the Form B update,
Mhm.
and we talked about Squires Pond.
Number 9, we need to just touch on briefly, because that's the deadline is March 7th, I think, for
Oh,
the National Trust for Historic Preservation is partnering with American Express. There's $40,000 grants going out. There's $1 million in total, and it's a national grant. So it's restaurants in historic buildings. They have to have been there for over 25 years. And the deadline for nominations, and you can nominate as an individual or as a group, is March 7th. And if you go to Saving Spaces, or is it Saving Places? I think it's savingplaces.org is the website they've set up, the National Trust for Historic Preservation and American Express. And I forwarded it to the Chamber of Commerce, and she said thanks. So maybe there'll be some local restaurants that'll nominate themselves or get their patrons to nominate them.
Are there any restaurants in town that have been here for over 25 years? I did some research. I couldn't find one.
oh, well, Winslow's Tap, that, under that name, it hasn't been there, but as Aesop's, it's been there since what, the 70s? And Wicked Oysters.
60, early 60s.
So do
Yeah.
you think that counts if it's been different restaurants in the same location?
Yeah.
So would that be true for Wicked Oyster as well?
It would be the other one.
Right, that was the Wellfleet Oyster House in the 70s. I worked there.
That makes it.
And so do we need to decide as a group what to nominate?
No, I don't think so. I think more as individuals, it might be better. It's a website that it's an online form. So you just, you have to register to make a nomination. And you put in your personal contact information and you can write a few words, like up to 500 words, I guess, as your nominating reason.
So I wonder if it would be okay to ask Jim if he could put a notice about this into the community, whatever you call it. What's it called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely community space.
Yeah,
Right, right.
sure.
Would that be okay with you?
It would be.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do you need more information from Lydia about it?
I can see it online.
It was sent already, I think.
Okay, great. Yeah, you sent it out to all of us.
Yeah.
That would be great. Okay, we need to approve the minutes from last month.
Hang on,
Did
one
everybody
more
get a
minute.
chance to look at them?
I looked at them.
I did too. I would like to move that we accept the minutes from last month. Lydia and I both looked at them closely and edited them. Gordon's eye, Merrill's eye, Lydia's eye.
Hi.
Jim?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. And Tom talked about accounting. Do we need to talk about correspondence, social media?
I don't think so. We kind of covered it with the thing that Jim's going to do with the restaurant nomination.
And our next meeting after the one in 2 weeks is April 7th at 5 p.m. And I believe we've been through the agenda.
Yay.
Right,
Yay, great.
right.
Great to
Nice
see
to
all
see
of you.
everybody. Take care.
Great meeting.
Very nice to see you. Very good to have you on the committee, Gordon. We really needed you tonight.
Oh, thank you, Carol. I sometimes feel like I'm too long-winded, but I do appreciate you
Well,
saying that.
You're not.
It's very helpful. And it's great to have you too, Jim. And I really appreciate your doing the social media stuff. Since clearly I'm not good at it. I don't even know the name of the place.
I like my friend Luke over there. Makes me feel.
Luke, we'll miss you the next maybe 2 meetings, but we'll look forward to seeing you when it gets a little warmer and you can't go skiing.
That was Tom. But
That was me, that was Tom.
Sorry.
I'll go skiing with Tom if he invites me.
Okay.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Good night,
Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.
everyone.